All right, ready to dive into something wicked.
Always up for a little wickedness.
We're going to be looking at some excerpts that break down its journey, and, well, I guess our mission is to figure out what made Wicked tick.
The secret sauce, as they say. And I think there's a lot to learn from its success.
So first things first, adapting a book like Wicked for the stage, that can't be easy, right? I mean, Gregory Maguire's novel, it's this whole reimagining of The Wizard of Oz from the perspective of, well, the Wicked Witch.
Right, and it's not exactly a light read. It's complex. There's all this political intrigue and philosophical stuff woven in.
And you've got to somehow squeeze all of that into a musical that people will actually want to sit through and enjoy.
Exactly. It's a delicate balancing act. I mean, how do you stay true to the book's essence while also making it work on stage?
So what were some of the biggest hurdles the creative team had to overcome? What kind of choices did they have to make to transform Wicked for the stage?
Well, think about it. You've got this sprawling narrative that dives deep into the politics of Oz. Fascinating, but maybe not the best fit for a fast-paced musical.
Right. You don't want to bog the audience down with too much exposition.
Exactly. So they had to streamline things, condense subplots, shift the focus a bit.
So what became the central focus?
They really honed in on the emotional core of the story. Elphaba and Glinda's relationship, their friendship. That became the heart of the musical.
Which, I mean, thinking about it, that's pretty universal. Friendship, identity, all those big questions about who we are and where we fit in, that resonates with everyone, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons Wicked connects with people so deeply. It takes those timeless themes, those things we all grapple with, and it explores them in this really fresh and engaging way.
And it does it by turning everything we thought we knew about the Wizard of Oz upside down. I mean, you're basically rooting for the villain of the original story.
Which is genius, right? It forces you to question everything you thought you knew about good and evil. It challenges your assumptions, and that's exciting.
So we've got these universal themes, this clever twist on a familiar story. But there's another ingredient in the Wicked recipe that we can't ignore: the music.
Ah, yes, the music. Defying gravity for good. These songs have become iconic. They're not just catchy tunes. They're powerful storytelling tools.
Seriously, Defying Gravity is basically an anthem at this point. Every time I hear it, I get chills. It captures Elphaba's defiance, her strength, her determination to break free.
And the music itself does that too, right? It soars, just like Elphaba. It mirrors her emotional journey.
You're totally right. It's like the music and the story are working together to create this incredibly powerful experience.
And it's not just defying gravity. Think about For Good. That song isn't just about friendship. It's about how the people in our lives shape who we become, the impact we have on each other.
It's deep, and it gets you right in the feels.
That's the thing about Wicked. The creators understood that music wasn't just there to be entertaining. It was there to deepen the emotional impact, to make us feel something.
And I think that's a big part of why the show has resonated with so many people for so long. It's more than just a show, it's an experience.
It is. It's a whole world that you get to step into and be a part of.
And speaking of stepping into a world, we can't talk about Wicked without talking about its marketing. That campaign was genius. The poster with Elphaba and Glinda's silhouettes, that tagline, Defy Gravity, it's so iconic, so recognizable.
Right. You see it and you instantly know what it's about. It sparks your curiosity. You want to know more.
It makes you want to defy gravity, too.
Exactly. And they were smart about it. They didn't just create a catchy poster and tagline. They built a whole visual identity around the show. Those rich greens, the bold contrasts, the mystical imagery, it all worked together to create this image of something you had to see.
Like a must-see event.
Exactly. They tapped into that desire to be part of something, to experience something special. And they were early adopters of fan engagement, social media, contests, behind-the-scenes glimpses. They built a community around the show long before that was the norm.
So they were kind of ahead of their time in that way.
In a lot of ways, yes. They understood that it wasn't just about selling tickets. It was about creating a connection with the audience, making them feel like they were part of something bigger.
Which is brilliant. I mean, that's the gold standard for marketing today. Creating a community, a sense of belonging.
And Wicked was doing it almost 20 years ago.
So we've got this compelling story, incredible music, groundbreaking marketing. But Wicked also managed to achieve something else that's really impressive. It struck this balance between artistic integrity and commercial appeal.
And that's not easy to do.
So how did they pull it off? How did they create a show that was both artistically ambitious and commercially successful?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the collaboration between the creative team, the composer Stephen Schwartz, the book writer Winnie Holzman, and the producers.
So it wasn't just one person's vision, it was a team effort.
It was. They were all committed to creating something special, something that stayed true to the heart of the story while also being something that a wide audience would enjoy.
Yeah.
And they succeeded. I mean, look at the show's track record. It's been running for almost 2 decades, and it's still going strong.
Which is incredible. It proves that you don't have to sacrifice your artistic vision to create something that's commercially successful.
Exactly. It's possible to have both. And Wicked is a great example of that.
But I do have to ask, weren't there some critics who argued that the adaptation lost some of the novel's political bite? That streamlining the story meant sacrificing some of its depth?
Yeah, there were definitely some who felt that way.
Yeah.
And it's a varied point. Adapting something as complex and nuanced as Maguire's novel, there are bound to be some things that get lost in translation.
So it's a trade-off.
It is,
Yeah.
and it's a trade-off that the creators made consciously. They chose to focus on the emotional core of the story, on those universal themes that would connect with a wider audience. And clearly, it worked.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that level of success.
But it does raise some interesting questions, doesn't it? About the challenges of adaptation, about balancing artistic integrity with commercial viability.
For sure. But we'll delve into those questions a bit later. For now, let's shift gears and talk about something else that's fascinating about Wicked. Its staying power. The show opened almost 20 years ago, and it's still a cultural phenomenon.
It is. It's amazing, isn't it? And it's not just the stage production. Wicked has inspired adaptations, fan creations, even social movements.
What do you think it is about Wicked that makes it so enduring? Why does this story continue to resonate with people even today?
Well, I think it goes back to those universal themes we were talking about earlier, the idea of defying expectations, embracing your individuality, fighting for what you believe in. These things are timeless, and they resonate with people across generations.
Plus, the music is just undeniably catchy. Who doesn't love belting out Defying Gravity in the shower?
Guilty as charged. But I think there's more to it than that. Wicked also sparks important conversations about good and evil, about judging others, about challenging the status quo. It makes you think. And those kinds of stories that stay with you long after you've experienced them, those are the ones that have real staying power.
They stick with you.
Exactly. And Wicked is definitely one of those stories.
So we've talked about how Wicked achieved this rare blend of artistic integrity and commercial success. It's a story with heart, with incredible music, a show that was marketed brilliantly. But all of that raises an interesting question, doesn't it? How do we ensure that creative ambition and commercial viability aren't always at odds? Because a lot of artists struggle with that.
They do. Trying to stay true to your vision while also, making sure people actually want to see your work. It's a tricky balance.
It is, but Wicked seems to offer some valuable insights. For starters, it reminds us that stories with genuine emotional resonance have the power to connect with wide audiences. People want to feel things.
They do. And stories that tap into those deep universal emotions, those are the ones that truly resonate.
But Wicked also highlights something else that's crucial, especially for people working in collaborative fields.
Collaboration.
Right.
Right. Wicked is a testament to the power of teamwork, of having artists, producers, and marketing teams all working together to achieve a shared vision.
I think our listeners are picking up on a theme here.
They are a sharp bunch.
Yeah, they are. And the takeaway is that success in any creative field, whether it's theater, film, music, whatever, often hinges on finding that sweet spot where passion meets pragmatism, where artistic vision aligns with an understanding of what resonates with people.
It's a tough balance to strike. But when you find it, the results can be magical, just like Wicked. And they weren't afraid to take risks, were they? Taking this beloved story, The Wizard of Oz, and flipping it on its head, that's a bold move.
It is. But that's part of what makes Wicked so captivating. It challenges those traditional narratives, those stories we think we know.
It reminds us that sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that turn everything upside down, They make you question what you thought was true.
Speaking of turning things upside down, something that really struck me in our research was the emphasis on Wicked's legacy. This show's influence, it goes way beyond Broadway. It's seeped into pop culture, inspired countless creative works, even social movements. It's become this cultural touchstone.
It's true. It's remarkable how, almost 2 decades after it debuted, Wicked is still inspiring adaptations, fan art, you name it. It's become this symbol of empowerment and a reminder that it's okay to be different, to embrace who you are.
It's funny, You think about a story about a green-skinned witch, and you wouldn't necessarily expect it to have such a profound impact, but it really speaks to the power of storytelling, doesn't it?
It does. Stories have this incredible ability to connect us, inspire us, even change how we see the world. Wicked is a perfect example of that.
So what do you think it is about Wicked that keeps it resonating with audiences even now, all these years later? What makes this story so enduring?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. The story itself is incredibly compelling. It's that classic good versus evil battle, but with a twist. We're asked to empathize with the villain and question those easy assumptions about right and wrong.
It challenges that black and white thinking that, well, I think a lot of people are kind of tired of, especially these days.
Exactly. It encourages us to think critically and see things from multiple perspectives. And then there's that need for acceptance and belonging that Wicked speaks to so powerfully. Elphaba, she's an outcast. She's judged and ostracized for being different, but she never gives up on herself. She keeps fighting.
That's got to be such a powerful message for, well, anyone really, but especially for younger people who are, still trying to figure out who they are and where they fit in.
It is. It reminds us that our differences are what make us special, that we don't have to conform to be accepted. We're all unique, and that's something to celebrate.
It also taps into that love we have for the underdog, right? We love rooting for the character who's told they can't succeed and then watching them overcome those obstacles.
You're right. Elphaba is the ultimate underdog. She's told she's wicked, she's shunned by society, but she rises above it all. She embraces her power, fights for what she believes in, and ultimately she defines for herself what it means to be good.
And that's a message that never gets old.
It really doesn't. We all need to hear that message, no matter what stage of life we're in.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Wicked, I want to leave our listener with one final thought-provoking question.
Oh, I like where this is going.
With all the adaptations and interpretations that keep popping up, what do you think it is about Wicked that continues to resonate with audiences and inspire new creative works? What makes this story so enduring?
That's a great question. And I'd love to hear what our listener has to say, because the beauty of Wicked is that it means something different to everyone.
And that's part of what makes it so magical. For now, we want to thank you for joining us on this journey to the heart of Wicked. From the challenges of adapting that dense novel to the show's revolutionary marketing and its enduring legacy, we've covered a lot of ground today. But one thing's for sure, Wicked is a phenomenon that shows no signs of fading.
It's a reminder that the best stories, the ones that really touch us, those stories stay with us long after the curtain closes.
You know what? It's interesting because when you really think about it, Wicked itself is a story about interpretation, isn't it? It's about how history is written by the victors and how those who are different are often labeled wicked or evil.
It's a powerful reminder that there are always multiple sides to every story, and that we should always question the narratives we're told. Don't just accept things at face value.
Which, I mean, that message feels more relevant today than ever before, don't you think? In a world that's just saturated with information, it's so easy to get trapped in those echo chambers and only hear the voices that reinforce our existing beliefs.
Wicked encourages us to do the opposite, doesn't it? To step outside our comfort zones, listen to different perspectives, be open to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, we might be wrong about something.
And that's what makes Wicked such a powerful, enduring work of art. It's not just entertainment. It makes us think, it makes us feel, and ultimately, it makes us better people.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's the perfect note to end on.
And it's amazing how, a show like Wicked can really make you think about things in a new way. It makes you realize that even in those stories we think we know inside and out, there's always, more to discover.
Absolutely. There are always different angles, different perspectives to consider.
And for our listeners out there, I'm curious, what new insights did you gain about Wicked from our conversation today? Did anything we talk about surprise you? Or maybe challenge how you've always thought about the show?
I bet there were some aha moments out there.
For sure. And those are the moments that make these deep dives so fun, right? It's not just about learning stuff. It's about actually engaging with the ideas, letting them spark new thoughts and questions.
It's a conversation starter.
Exactly. And those questions, those are what keep the conversation going even after, after the episode's over.
It's like planting a seed. The discussion ends, but the ideas, they take root and keep growing.
Love that analogy. So to everyone listening, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Wicked. We've just scratched the surface, but hopefully we've given you some food for thought.
And maybe even inspired you to revisit the show with fresh eyes. See it in a new light.
Or hey, Maybe even pick up the original novel and see where it all began.
That's a great idea. Dig a little deeper.
Always more to explore. And hey, who knows? You might even find yourself defying gravity along the way. Thanks for joining us, everyone.